We often think that looking tired is just about how much rest we get, but the truth is there are several features that both consciously and subconsciously signal to other people that you look tired and worn out, even if you're not. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what these features are that make you look tired and whether or not they actually apply to you and how to fix them. Firstly, we'll run through the checklist of features so you can identify if this video is even relevant to you. So it's definitely worth watching the first couple minutes so you can go through that checklist and just make sure. In the second part, I'll explain what the ideals are and the unideals for each of these features in the checklist. And in the final part, I'll give you the fixes for each of these features to make sure that you leave with all the information you need to fix this issue that you might have. This is the exact framework that I use in my guides. Firstly, you self-identify, then you check if that feature or component is ideal or not, and then you apply the solutions given. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get straight into the checklist. Just make sure you keep track of each of these features so that when you're at the end of the video, you know exactly what to fix. So the first section that we're looking at here is skin, and the first feature is bad skin texture. Now, for all of these features that I'm going to mention in this checklist, if it's less obvious, I'll show you on the screen some examples so that if you have what you're seeing, you should make a note that that is something that you have to bring to the end of the video. The next component is premature aging. We're looking specifically at fine lines and potentially even deeper wrinkles, and overall just a general loss of skin elasticity. And finally for skin, an unhealthy skin tone. So this is a skin tone that looks pale, pasty and cold. So the next section, we're looking at the eye area, one of, if not the most important region of the face for physical attraction. The first component is negatively tilted eyebrows. Next, we have negative hooding. So just above the eyes, just below the eyebrows, the skin above the eyelids is the hooding, otherwise known as the supraorbital fold. The next component is red, dull or irritated looking sclera, and sclera are the whites of the eyes. Next, we have loose, deactivated looking lower eyelids, which may or may not produce some scleral show, which is when there is some slight whiteness just below the iris and just above the lower eyelid. And finally, dark eye circles or eye bags. Now, they're not the same thing, but I'm linking them together and I will address them together in the fixes at the end of the video. Dark eye circles are simply just a darkening under the eyes, and eye bags are more of a puffiness, more of a swelling underneath the eyes. For this section, there are two components to consider. Firstly, lip dehydration. So if you have lip dehydration, this is more of a minor feature, but it is going to contribute to the tired look slightly. One of my main philosophies for improving your looks, which is the main point of this channel, is that small, almost what you would consider meaningless changes sort of compound into a major shift in appearance. This is not just for positives, it's also for negatives as well. So the same applies for multiple seemingly small and insignificant features adding up to a total shift in appearance, whether that's positive or negative. It doesn't really matter. The same rule applies. So if you can make small improvements, that is what you should be aiming for if you are trying to become better looking or fixing an issue that you may have. The next and final component of this section is downturned mouth corners. You could sort of link it in with the premature aging point that I mentioned in the first section. And again, it's one of those features that is only going to slightly contribute to a tired look in more cases than not if your face doesn't already look tired, and we'll go over the main features to focus on at the end of the video. But if your face doesn't already look like it's worn out and tired, the chances are this is not going to make you look tired. It's just one of those components that will add to this theme of looking tired and worn out if you already have those pre-existing components that commonly contribute in a major way to a tired looking face. These last 2 points are slightly obvious, so I wanted to save them towards the end of this checklist and get through the main bulk of the components first. But just to quickly wrap up this checklist, if you look untidy or unkempt, like you haven't really paid attention to your facial hair, your eyebrows are going everywhere, it is going to subtly contribute to a tired and worn out looking face. And finally, head posture. Again, this is very obvious. If you're slouched over, you have anterior head carriage, this is going to subconsciously signal that you're tired, potentially worn out, and potentially even depressed. And that last feature is more of a bonus. It's not really to do with the face. but it's definitely worth including in this checklist. So in this part, this is the second part, and I'm going to go over the features that we've mentioned. So now that you've identified if you do or don't have anything that's in that checklist, I'm going to go over each feature and tell you what is the ideal and what is the flaw or unideal based on my own data, my opinion, science as well on physical attraction. It's useful to confirm what you already have and learn what is ideal, what you should be aiming for before we move on to the fixes in the final part. And just like the original checklist, I'll go through this in more of a fast-paced style to not waste any time. And in my guides, when I'm talking about an ideal of a component, I call this a golden feature. So you'll hear me say this as I go through the list. Firstly, we have skin texture, and the golden feature is a smooth surface. And I'm not talking like wax-like smoothness or anything uncanny. I'm talking just a surface that doesn't look rough. It doesn't have bumps. So that would be the unideal or flaw, rough or bumpy skin texture. Next, we have premature aging, and the golden feature is, of course, no signs of premature aging. And the flaw would be fine lines, wrinkles, or any prominent folds or creases. In this case, for this particular theme being a tired looking face, the nasolabial folds or creases are going to contribute the most towards a tired and worn out looking face in comparison to other signs of premature aging. However, they all contribute in some way towards a tired looking face. Next, we have skin tone, and the golden feature here is noticeable melanin and carotenoid tan. Tan exists in two axes. You have the melanin axis and the carotenoid axis. So overall, you're looking for a golden, warm looking skin tone. The unideal being pale, cold, and generally just an unhealthy looking skin tone. The next component is eyebrow tilt, and the golden zone, which is just the other version of golden feature, is simply just looking at measurements, angles, and ratios. For example, in this case, the golden zone is between 4.8 and 7.2 degrees positive tilt. But the unideal is when tilt is out of this golden zone. And in the case of this video, negatively tilted eyebrows are going to subconsciously give the eye area and your overall look and face a tired and droopy appearance. Next is hooding, looking more specifically at the hooding angle, and the unideal would be where the hooding is negative and also dips or cuts suddenly into that negative and looks quite angular. In this context, negative hooding is also going to have the same role as negative eyebrow tilt in the way that it's going to make you look more tired, more worn out, and more of a droopy appearance. The next component is scleral color. So this also links in with the contrast between the iris and the sclera. The golden feature, of course, is white, bright, and healthy looking sclera. Not dull, not red, not irritated, no visible blood vessels. And so there's an obvious contrast between the iris and the sclera. The unideal, of course, is seeing redness, irritation, blood vessels, or a dull tone and a low contrast. For the next component, we're looking at the lower eyelids, with the golden feature being tight, near flat, clearly activated looking lower eyelids where there's no scleral show. The unideal, of course, being loose, deactivated looking lower eyelids where there potentially could be scleral show as well. And finally, for the eyes, we're looking at dark eye circles and eye bags, with the golden feature being minimal, not noticeable for both. So for the dark eye circles, little to no pigmentation under the eyes. Of course, a small amount of darkening is natural. You'll see on the screen where it starts to look noticeable and negatively impact your physical attraction and also contribute strongly to a tired looking face. For the eye bags, there's a little bit less room for error, so the golden feature would be no eye bags whatsoever, nothing noticeable, with the flaw being noticeable eye bags. So finally, looking at the mouth region, we can understand that the untidy and unkempt look is clearly a flaw, and the strong anterior head carriage is also a flaw as well. We'll finish at this mouth region and then move on to the fixes in the final part. So when looking at lip health, we're looking for healthy, not chapped, not flaky or scabbed, just normal, healthy levels of hydration, nothing glossy or anything like that, nothing super shiny, just normal and natural levels of hydration. And for the mouth corners, also known as oral commissures, the position that we're looking for as a golden feature would be no drooping and aimed upwards at the bare minimum neutral, and as a flaw, the positioning would be drooping or tilting downwards. So it's very common to have more than one of these features, sometimes even several, but don't be concerned because next I'm going to show you exactly how to fix each and every one of them. So now I'm going to go through each one of these components and I'm going to tell you the exact solutions for fixing the unideal. So to fix skin that looks rough, bumpy, it doesn't have a good and smooth skin texture, plus fine lines and wrinkles and loss of elasticity as a foundation, you're going to want to follow the phase 1 diet in my guide. So you can get this completely for free from the description of this video. It's in the facial definition guide, and this is going to help to improve your skin elasticity and reverse any signs of premature aging. So it's going to help with skin texture, as vitamin A is going to help to increase the skin cell turnover of your face. Next, what you want to be doing is microneedling with hyaluronic acid. This is going to help to improve the skin elasticity, also reverse premature aging, tighten the skin around the jawline, the chin, and the submental region. If your premature aging and poor skin texture is more on the severe side, you might want to consider topical retinoids, as this will also significantly improve both of these components. There are 3 things you can do to improve an unhealthy skin tone. Now, it's important to remember that tan exists in both the melanin and carotenoid axes. You want to increase your sun exposure to increase melanin production and also support the melanocytes and their melanin production with increased copper, iron, zinc, vitamin A, and that's retinol, not beta carotene, vitamin B12, L-tyrosine. This can all be found in great amounts in liver, which is in the phase 1 diet. And you also want to consume around 40 to 50 milligrams of vitamin C, which is also found in the diet. For instant improvement, you can use self-tanning drops. You can mix that in with your moisturizer if you use moisturizer. If not, you can just apply it straight to the face. Next, for the carotenoid axis, you'll want to take beta-carotene, lycopene, astaxanthin. Typically, you want to either use beta-carotene on its own at around 25,000 IU once a day, or take lycopene and astaxanthin together once a day, lycopene at around 50 milligrams and astaxanthin at around 24 milligrams. To reach an appealing level of tan within the carotenoid axis, this typically takes around 2 months to be noticeable, and all you want to do is just lower your dose to maintain this appearance, and you definitely don't want to overdo it. Finally, you want to increase your blood flow, so you want to maximize your circulation and oxygenation of the blood to promote a warm, red, and healthy skin tone, which complement the more orange, golden, and brown tones from both the carotenoid and melanin axes. You can do this by increasing your iron and vitamin C intake, which is what you'd already be doing to support the melanocytes. And finally, mild to moderate intensity weightlifting. This is going to help to enhance your oxygen delivery and hemoglobin levels, but I personally avoid moderate to high intensity exercise, as this is just going to increase the physical stress on your body and create more fine lines and give you more of an exhausted and worn out appearance, contributing to this tired looking face. There is definitely a sweet spot for exercise when it comes to facial aesthetics. Okay, so looking at the eye area, firstly, fixing or reducing the severity of negatively tilted eyebrows. With this, the improvements are going to be subtle, but any improvement of a flaw is going to positively contribute to your appearance. If you have a lot of eyebrow hair in the lower outer region and upper medial region, you can certainly trim these regions, as if there's overgrowth and a lack of trimming in these areas, it's going to accentuate the appearance of negatively tilted eyebrows. And finally, you can activate your corrugator supercilii, depressor supercilii, and procerus muscles, which are the muscles that are responsible for frowning. This is going to be more subtle and also train your subconscious expression. What you can do is just force frown your eyebrows downwards and inwards, and you can push with your thumbs against that to create that resistance. You can either do this with reps of pushes or isometric holds. Both are going to help to activate the muscle. If you have negative hooding and it's subtle, what you can do is eyelid pulling. The name might be a little bit confusing. You're not actually pulling the eyelid itself, but the hooding above the eyelid. And you want to do this in the inner aspect of your hooding. And this is going to counter the negatively tilted hooding and make it look less severe. You simply just want to pull the skin down and away from the eye for around 10 to 15 seconds and do about 5 to 10 sets of this a day. It's going to take time, but luckily all that's needed is very minimal change. Around 0.5 millimeter of increased hooding in the inner aspect is going to help to counter mild to moderate negative hooding. If you have more severe sagging of the skin, then the only realistic option is an upper blepharoplasty. Nothing else is going to create any noticeable improvement. If you have dull or irritated looking sclera, if they're severe, you can use whitening eye drops, including tetrahydrozoline and nafazoline. This is just for severely bloodshot and red eyes. It's not a long-term solution, but to maintain healthy white sclera, consistent sleep and wake times for at least 1 month with 7+ hours of sleep, avoid rubbing the eyes, and increase your vitamin A and vitamin C intake. You can do this, of course, with the diet mentioned. You can use what's typically called as fake tears. These are eye drops that don't contain any preservatives or vasoconstrictors. You can use this daily and it will just ensure that the eyes are hydrated without causing any irritation or dependency. For dark eye circles, there's a lot of information on this, and just to make sure the video isn't too long, feel free to download my free dark eye circle guide in the video description below. It goes over everything that you need to know about dark eye circles, the causes, because you most likely have more than one cause creating that darkness under your eye, and it gives you exact routines for each type so you can significantly reduce them. For eye bags, this is a little bit more simple since there are only 3 types of eye bags. Firstly, you have fluid or swelling eye bags. You can use an eye mask in the morning for around 5 minutes and also utilize lymphatic drainage massage daily. Do both of these in the morning. If your eye bags are to do with fluid and swelling, it's going to help to reduce this noticeably. The second type is fat, herniation or protrusion eye bags, and the only solution to this is surgical removal of that excess fat. You don't want to remove all of the fat, as this will create a hollowing under the eye, which is one of the causes of dark eye circles. And finally, loose skin eye bags can be improved with microneedling at a shallow depth and retinoids for a more powerful skin cell turnover applied to the region. If you have severe loose skin eye bags, then both of these options are unlikely to create any noticeable improvement, and you'll want to go down the lower blepharoplasty route. If you have lip dehydration, they're flaking, scabbing, and in general just looking unappealing, you can use a toothbrush for exfoliation. Just do it after you brush your teeth, and obviously apply lip balm when you can, or tallow if you're looking for more of a natural alternative. As a general rule of thumb, avoid biting or picking your lips. The most effective way to reduce or conceal the appearance of droopy or downturned oral commissures or mouth corners is with a stubble or a short beard. You want to avoid excessive pouting. This is usually done more subconsciously, as this is going to accentuate this droopy appearance. And to rule out hypertonicity of the depressor anguli oris muscles, you can use release techniques on this muscle to help to reduce the tension, which is going to help to reduce the downturned appearance. Techniques such as self-massage, trigger point release, and acupuncture. So which of these components are a priority? If you want to see the most significant change, the biggest impact by focusing on a small amount of these components, which ones are the most important? Well, I would say it's no shock that your best bet is focusing on reducing your dark eye circles. If you have noticeable dark eye circles, this is going to create the biggest shift away from a tired and worn out looking face. I'd say the runner-up is premature aging for sure. If you have fine lines and wrinkles around your face, more specifically the nasolabial creases, as mentioned, this is going to significantly contribute to a tired and worn out face. So if you focus on those two, if you have them, you will see the most amount of change. Obviously, focusing on everything that you have is going to give you a positive shift, but if you want to save time, money, and effort, then those two definitely are what you should focus on. So as you can see, there are multiple components that contribute to a tired looking face. Focusing on the priority features are going to help you the most, but don't neglect the rest of the components, as they all do subtly contribute, some more than others. If you make the fixes that you need to do based on what you have to work on, you will become less tired looking and you will become more attractive. If you found this helpful, this is just a very small collection of the components in my guides. There are well over 150 components and features to consider when it comes to improving yourself. So if you're serious about improving the way you look, then I have all of that information there for you. And feel free to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching.